Reiterate something I said earlier this morning, and that is my deep thanks and pride in the work that has been done by our first responders and by our police. There is no question in my mind that the quick response of the police officers and of our EMS personnel and those professionals made a difference and saved lives. That is an important thing for us to keep in mind as we go through this and we go both the trauma of this and the investigation. And that is the very professional, extremely competent and quick response of our police and our EMS personnel saving lives under these circumstances. The other thing I will point out is that this is, and you'll hear this from professional law enforcement here in just a moment, this is an ongoing investigation. We are going to work to make sure that the public has information as thorough and as rapidly as is professionally appropriate as we continue with this investigation. But I'm going to let the professionals tell you more about that. I just want to make sure everybody understands we're doing this well and we're doing it right, but that sometimes takes time. But we will make sure that the public has the information as rapidly as is professional and appropriate. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our police chief, Lisa Davis.
Thank you, Mayor. As always, appreciate your leadership. Again, condolences to families. And there are families right now that are unfortunately identifying their loved ones. We have families that are at hospital rooms waiting for outcomes from surgery. That's the reality of what we're dealing with today. So let's talk about what happened, what we know. Around 1:58, we had a call came in that someone was shooting around the bar, Buford's Bar. We know that a vehicle, a large SUV, drove several times around the block in that area. At one point, he put its flashers on, rolled down his window, and began using a pistol shooting out of his car windows, striking patrons of the bar that were on the patio and that were in front of the bar. He then proceeds westbound on 6th Street, goes to Wood Street where he parks his car, gets out, once again, starts shooting his gun at some people that are walking by. He then walks east on 6th Street. At that point, everyone knows the amount of resources we use on East 6th Street, a large crowd, a large entertainment area here in Austin, where officers along with EMS and fire are staged for the weekend. And so you're talking, when this came out, we were about 55, 56 seconds away coming from east to west Austin, and that saved multiple lives. As the officers were responding, again, our suspect was coming toward East Austin, or East 6th Street. Officers were coming toward him, and at the intersection, he was shot, and he was killed. At this time, again, I want to thank our partners, our federal partners, our EMS, fire, crime scene, our victim services that are on scene. Again, this is really tough time for the city of Austin. At this point, I'll go ahead and turn it over to FBI for some comments from them as well.
Thank you, Chief. Again, Alex Dorn, I'm the acting special agent in charge for the San Antonio field office of the FBI. We want to extend our deepest condolences as well to the victims and their families of this tragic incident. I also want to sincerely thank Austin Police Department and the officers for their extremely rapid response to the incident. There is no doubt that those officers saved countless lives with their quick reaction and quick training to respond to the shooter and address the threat. The FBI is working in lockstep with our partners, with Austin Police Department. We have members from our evidence response team, as well as our many other specialty teams, including our digital forensics folks that are on scene, helping to address the scene and gather additional evidence. Obviously, it's still way too early in the process to determine an exact motivation, but there were indicators that on the subject and in his vehicle that indicate potential nexus to terrorism. Again, it's still too early to make a determination on that. That's why we are investigating it very closely with our partners with Austin Police Department. I just want to say, conclusion, we are committed to seeing this process through to the very end, and we will continue to work very closely with our partners with Austin Police Department. Thank you.
I want to also ask our Chief Lucritz to come up and say a few words related to emergency medical services.
Good morning, Rob Lucritz, Chief of Austin Travis County EMS. Again, our condolences go out to all the families that were involved in this. Austin Travis County EMS received the first calls at 1:59 in the morning. As Chief Davis stated earlier, we had medical care on site treating patients within 57 seconds as part of our program between Austin Travis County EMS and the Austin Police Department, where we have paramedics embedded with the teams during the peak of entertainment hours. All total, we had more than 20 EMS resources that responded to the scene. We had all critical patients off the scene within 24 minutes and all patients off the scene within 47 minutes. In total, there were 17 patients treated, 3 were pronounced on scene, and 14 were transported to local hospitals, 3 in critical condition. And with that, I'll turn this back over to Mayor Watson.
Yeah, if you have some questions, we'll, as it was indicated, we're going to be able to answer a few questions. Again, I want to say that because this is an ongoing investigation, we want to get as much information out to everyone that is in a professional and appropriate way. So there may be some things that we defer on, but if you have questions, please feel free. And
we're just going to point you out, so we're going to get started here. So we heard from a source that there were potentially, that they were told that there were explosives in the suspect's car. Can you confirm that?
So once the subject's car was identified, of course, we need to make sure that we're operating safely within that car. There were some things inside the car that gave us concern. So our EOD responded to ensure that there was no, bomb material, that type of thing. So that was cleared pretty quickly. That we felt confident that was not an issue.
So
there were no bombs. No.
Thank you.
Was he ever in the bar with guns, or when did he?
He never entered the bar. Like I said, he drove by, was firing outside the window with a pistol. Once he exited the vehicle after parking on Wood, he exited with a rifle at that point.
Okay. Do you have any questions? No.
Yeah.
Good. Good. All right. Next.
Can you kind of just describe the general setup of police and EMS presence in this area of town on a typical Saturday, and a little more of what happened that time?
Yeah, I think it just goes to show what that coordination is. We know, East 6th Street is a large party atmosphere, and streets are closed, they're opened. We're mitigating a lot of people in that small space. And so to have EMS, to have, EMS, fire, and APD together working, it is just for things like this. And so, again, we're very fortunate in those partnerships, and we work very well together. Very proud of that. And it showed that it worked. Again, I feel like a lot of lives were saved from this. We will be having a briefing tomorrow. Don't have the time yet. We'll get that to you. We'll have more information at that time. Yep, go ahead. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, EMS and the Austin Police Department have worked closely together for a number of years. However, there's been significant investment over the past 3 to 4 years in that partnership, including adding dedicated EMS resources to the entertainment district on the weekends, as well as supplemental paramedics that are embedded with the Austin Police Department on various apparatus, including like Polaris Rangers and things that can rapidly respond in the event of an active shooter situation. Those resources were deployed this weekend, and those are the individuals that arrived on scene. There are several up every weekend evening, as well as the additional resources that we have dedicated to the entertainment district, separate from our partnership with APD. All those resources came together today as planned, and had all of the things that we needed in place to be able to effectively manage the scene.
Thank you.
One more question.
Yeah. You said indicators of terrorism. Can you say domestic terrorism or international terrorism? And then also, can you confirm the Joint Terrorism Task Force involvement?
Yes, since it's the second question, since it's a matter we're looking at it as a potential matter of terrorism, obviously the Joint Terrorism Task Force is engaged, which obviously includes members from Austin Police Department as well as several federal and state and local partners. In terms of specifically what type of terrorism, we're just at this point prepared to say that it was potentially an act of terrorism.
You specifically mentioned indicators that were on the person. Can you give more description as to what indicators you're talking about?
Again, not at this time. We're not prepared to release that information just because it's very early stages of the investigation, and we wouldn't want to potentially impute any further investigative actions.
How many firearms did this
There were two. There was the pistol that he used out the window, and then the rifle.
All right, guys.
Thank you all very
Thank
much. We want to thank you again. We want to say that our hearts go out to the victims and their families, and we will continue to provide information so that you're aware of what's going on and the public can be aware. But I want to end by saying once again how proud I am that the Austin Police and EMS were able to respond so rapidly and save lives. Thank you all very much.